one, please. So, yeah, sorry, that was the next one. But what that showed me, sorry for the previous one, but we don't have to go back to it, is that, try and encapsulate that, that whole story I've told you about what happened in the Amazon and what happened as a result of, of soya biodiesel, in the neighboring countries, in the neighboring forests, strength, the side of higher commodity prices really leading to greater agitation by the big landowners, and then winning the political battle, getting forest policy demolished pretty much. You can't say how much of that is because of biofuels. All you can say is that biofuels introduced a really, really toxic element to a really toxic mix. It was into a really toxic political situation. There's no way that you can translate that into some kind of carbon accounting. How much was because of commodity prices? You can't translate that into some neat indirect land use change factor and put it onto the carbon emissions of biofuels. We don't know. All we know is that pushing up commodity prices in such a situation is a really, really incredibly dangerous element, and it could be enough to to knock the balance that was for over a period of years was really protecting a lot of the Amazon forest. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sorry?
The Amazon forest is also part of Ecuador and other countries.
That's right.
So the deforestation that you mentioned is
only Brazil. The Brazilian Amazon. Yeah.
Well,
no, I mean the actual deforestation has gone up in other Amazon states. I mean in Bolivia, whilst it fell in Brazil, it went up in Bolivia and Ecuador. But but whilst it fell in Brazil, it went up in the other states. But most of the Amazon is in Brazil.
Because the information I have is that in the Ecuadorian Amazon there is a lot of oil. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe in Bolivia too. Because they have gas and I don't know if they have oil. And I wonder whether that is the reason why the deforestation is
not just palm oil is a big thing in Ecuador, big problem in Ecuador.
Okay.
And I mean, when you speak of deforestation, when hydropower is a huge big issue as well in Brazil. It is not just all about soil, There's, Belo Monte, the dam, the big hydro dams. There are lots and lots of factors. And that's why I was sort of saying, we can't just get a nice, neat carbon factor and say, how many emissions did EU biofuel targets cause? Because we don't really know. It's impossible to say. Okay? Sorry? 2 minutes here? Nearly done. Yeah, let's go through it really quick. Okay, another indirect impact is 7 million hectares of African land have been grabbed for EU biofuels in the name of EU biofuels. That's a plantation in Kenya. Next. But virtually no biofuels for the EU have ever been produced in Africa. Africa is not supplying biofuels to Europe. So what we have here is 7 million hectares of land having been grabbed in order to grow biofuels for Europe. This is especially jatropha, a really favored biofuel crop. It has never produced biofuels. Never ever. Virtually no biofuels are being exported from Africa to Europe. So what you have here is speculative land grabs. You have massive speculative land grabs that are being justified by the demand for biofuels in Europe. And we're seeing the same trend happening now with Europe's demand for biomass triggering speculative land grabs in Africa that will probably never need to they might never need to actually be burned that comes from Africa. Okay? Next.
Sorry. Does that mean the crops have been grown and bought? So
jatropha hasn't really yielded anything. What will happen is that a company will go in, they will acquire a huge area of land, they will start growing jatropha bushes on a fraction of that land, they will take the land away from the community, they'll start growing some jatropha. Jatropha doesn't really need wills. I mean, it's been a crop failure all across. Then that land is theirs. Eventually that company can then do with the land what they like. They got that land because they said, we're going to make all those profits from biofuels. That's why the government or whoever gave them the titles. Then the land is theirs, then land prices go up, then they can sell it. They can just simply sell it to the next speculator, make heaps of money in the process. Pure speculation, a lot of it. Okay, next please. So conclusions. Going back to what we had is just saying no human society has ever been able to use biomass for more than meeting personal survival energy needs without disastrous deforestation. Then human pressures on a biosphere, on fresh water and soil already have devastating consequences. They cannot be sustainably increased. I mean, they're totally unsustainable as they are. Next one. Last one. And large-scale energy cannot be made sustainable with standards or any other tools because it's inherently unsustainable, but also because tools and standards can't address the really complicated web of indirect impacts. And the full impact of pushing up commodity prices and destroying ecosystems cannot be quantified. It cannot be put into a nice, neat calculation.